Welcome back to This, That, and Another, PPL's official podcast about the library and the communities we serve. My name is Jay.
And my name is Annie.
You were on the Giving episode in November, and now you've made your triumphant return. So thanks for filling in for Sophia today.
Absolutely. Happy to be here, Jay.
This is our food episode, and later in the show, we will get the chance to speak to blogger PattyJ of PattyJ.com all about local eats and her experiences here at Shop. But first, we had the chance to talk to PPL's Deputy Library Director, Beatrice Pulliam, all about PPL's collections. And that went a little something like this.
Beatrice, what is it that we mean when we say collections here at PPL?
Primarily books, but more broadly, we have a few different collections. We have our general collections, which are the books that can be borrowed by the public, which I think we're going to dig into that a little bit more in a few minutes. We have our special collections, which are our rare and generally fragile books and materials that are viewed in the special collections reading room, either by appointment or during our open hours, and our Rhode Island collections, which is another type of special collection, which is our collection that is by Rhode Islanders and about Rhode Island specifically.
Why do we collect these? What's the importance of having these collections at Providence Public Library?
As part of 150-year tradition, this is our big anniversary year, Providence Public Library continues the experiment of enlightenment, which was a phrase coined by our second librarian. So this tradition began with our first librarian, William Foster, who incidentally was also the first president of the State Library Association here, and Clarence Sherman. And with our carefully curated collections for the interest, information, and enlightenment of our community is, before there were mission statements, that was the thinking there, for our community in Providence and beyond, with no limits based on, any sort of partisan or doctrinal disapproval. So we're talking about First Amendment rights to read, seek information, and speak freely. And these rights are also protected by the Rhode Island state constitution. So that's the big answer to that question. We have close to 60 broad collecting areas, from business, Irish history, sci-fi, fantasy, Spanish language books for children, technology, to, you guessed it, cookbooks. And we have a dozen selectors, very talented, professionally trained folks who select from the areas that I mentioned.
Amazing. Well, you certainly piqued my interest with one of the last ones you just mentioned. Could you tell me a bit more about the cookbook collection?
Sure. Full disclosure, this is one of my personal favorite collections because I'm also one half of the selection team for cookbooks. We have, I believe we're somewhere in the range of just over 4,000 cookbooks in our collection. And it covers a wide range of cuisines, from American to African, Scandinavian, Italian, Middle Eastern. If you just pick a cuisine from any country in the world, and you're bound to find some type of cookbook in our collection. And if you're hungry and you want to try something new, you should definitely check out our cookbook collection. Other libraries borrow our cookbooks for their cookbook clubs. It's a really fun collection. I have completely changed my dinner plans. We have several display areas down on the ground floor of the library, and one of them usually has some collection of some specially curated selection of cookbooks. And I've changed my plans for what I was thinking I was going to have for dinner based on something that caught my eye. It's a very tempting collection.
What are your favorite items from the cookbook collection?
Don't make me choose. That's not a fair question. I have struggled with that answer because I love to cook. I have my own selection of very special cookbooks at home. So
what's the thing you cooked out of a book last?
Oh. It was probably something out of an Ottolenghi cookbook.
Okay.
And I usually, he has one cookbook, which we have this here in the library. It's called Plenty, and it has lots of delicious, it's like Middle Eastern recipes. So it's a combination of Israeli and kind of Palestinian recipes. Very delicious, that you can't go wrong with anything in that book. But he did make my favorite, although I love his food and his books. So I have two.
Okay.
Is that okay?
I love it.
Okay.
Two favorites,
Okay.
yes.
The first one is, and no one can see this, but I'm holding them here in front of me. The first one is, I like to think of these as kind of like food memoir. This book is called An Omelet and a Glass of Wine, which I've never tried that combo, and I probably should. By Elizabeth David, who was a British food writer. And this particular book is a collection of articles and essays that she wrote over the years. And this was my first introduction to her. And so you learn a little bit about sometimes the place where she was, or if she was reviewing a cookbook or something like that. And then sometimes you can find a little recipe as well. So it has the best of everything, kind of travel, food. Can't go wrong. Yeah. A more recent book that's become a favorite, because I love to cook, but I don't like to clean up. Mm-hmm. So I try to make as little mess as possible when I do cook. Yeah. This is a great book called Solo by Anita Lowe, who's an American chef. The subtitle of the book is A Modern Cookbook for a Party of One. So they're it's quick meals that you can make for yourself if you're not cooking for a large group. They're also easily to multiply. It's beautifully illustrated. The recipes are very simple. I try to stick to a one-pot philosophy wherever I can, and for me, this kind of fits that bill.
Hi, I'm Ivy. I'm one of the librarians here at Providence Public Library, and I take care of the cookbook collection. And there's a cookbook I'd like to highlight today. It's called Latinissimo. It's by Sandra A. Gutierrez. It includes over 300 recipes for everyday dishes from places like Bolivia, Chile, Colombia, Costa Rica. One of the things I like about it is it's organized by ingredients. You can go into, say, avocados, and then you can compare all the variations from the different countries side by side. So maybe you like the version from Chile better than you like the one from Costa Rica. I also like that it includes some history and some stories about the foods. It includes some of my favorite recipes: tostones, arroz con pollo, which is chicken and rice, and variations on empanadas. Our cookbook collection includes 4,000 cookbooks and books on food and food history. You can check Latinissimo out at the Providence Public Library.
Joining us now in the workshop, she is the blogger-in-chief at PattyJ.com and contributing writer to Hey Roadie. She's your guide to everything local in Rhode Island, everything local in her community, and she's worked on several projects here at PPL throughout the years. PattyJ. Hi, Patty.
Oh, thank you for having me. Really, really excited to be here.
How did you end up in the world of blogging, especially creating Rhode Island content for social media?
Well, I am a Rhode Island native. I was, born and raised here, went to school here, graduated from classical high school, graduated from the University of Rhode Island with a liberal arts degree. Lived here pretty much all my life. My past history is I started in retail. I was a retail manager at a store in Garden City in Cranston that no longer exists. I was a retail manager for over 13 years at the Providence Place Mall at Nordstrom Providence, which sadly no longer exists. And when I left Nordstrom's, I knew I wanted to do something different. I didn't want to continue to do retail. Those of you out there who have worked in the industry, I think, I have a lot of respect for you, and you know why.
Yeah.
You know why. But I started my website, PattyJ.com, and then it grew from there.
So it seems like food is a very big part of your content, and I'm wondering why food in particular, and what about the Rhode Island food scene excites you?
Well, when I was working retail all those years, I was eating at a lot of chain restaurants, chain coffee shops, the Mermaid, and mass market could be the term. And then when I left retail, and I had a little bit of time on my hands before I launched my website and really went into social media, I started driving around the state, going to different places and saying, hey, this is, there's some really great cafes, restaurants, just all sorts of places, coffee shops. The food is, the drinks are unbelievable. Everything's made fresh. Look at people really going out of their way to use local makers and vendors. And just, I was very impressed. I started sharing about that, and it really got a very enthusiastic response. So just, inspired me to do more.
Yeah, absolutely. To your point, I do feel like Rhode Island is the spot for all the hidden gems in the food world. It's one of the things that attracted me as an outsider to move to Rhode Island, is the food scene. And just this year, we have over 5 or 6 small spots nominated for James Beard Awards. So I'm wondering if you have any favorite spots in the state, but especially any favorite spots here in Providence.
Well, speaking of James Beard, I was just at Nick's on Broadway for dinner very recently. Unbelievable food. I had the chance to hear Derek Wagner speak at the Johnson & Wales Fit Symposium, and just always impressed by him. He's a rock star. I mean, just that nominee list is, those are really some incredible chefs and makers. For Providence, gosh, I mean, there's just so much. I don't want to leave anybody out. Off the top of my head, I have to say I do love, let's talk pizza. So a couple of great pizza spots. Number 1 would have to be Pizza Marvin. Hi, Pizza Marvin. I mean, I've taken my husband there, and he just is like, how can we get that pizza again?
Oh my gosh.
So and the soft serve ice cream, that is out of this world. I also love the grilled pizzas at Vaccaro.
Yeah,
I've gone with my husband, and we've eaten like 2 or 3 of those in one sitting. I'm like, slow down. Can I have some pizza? And then, of course, Al Forno too is right up there. Just so many wonderful places in Providence. Try and think for brunch. Nick's again, another winner. Julian's. I also love the fruit tart at Pastiche. These are all sort of classic places. I'm trying to think of Aleppo Sweets too in Fox Point. I mean, how do you? Everything they do there is delicious. Tea in Sahara, also in that general vicinity. Go there, have the owner do that high pour with the mint tea. I mean, that's neat. That's really terrific. I mean, I love also at the Beatrice Hotel, that Bellini restaurant. That's gorgeous.
Yeah.
The rooftop
the rooftop is unbelievable. Just so many places. I really hate to. Also, I love Plant City. Go there for a nice salad. Head over to Plant City. Have a meatless burger. I mean, that's
buffalo chicken sandwich. It's delicious.
Right. I mean, I think they were a terrific addition to Providence. And again, right in that same vicinity, Jeff's for sandwiches. I feel like their menu, there's like 200 sandwiches on that menu. I mean, my favorite right now, there's a tuna salad with cranberry, avocado, lettuce, and tomato. I mean, if you're looking for a tuna sandwich that's going to knock your socks off, that's it. All right. I mean, there's Brown Bee on Benefit Street with the croissants.
They are hitting the social media scene right now, having quite the moment for themselves. I haven't been in yet, but they have a pistachio croissant on the menu that has been calling my name for weeks.
Oh, you got to go. But you got to go early.
That's what I hear.
Go early because they're sold out. Now, I was in Providence doing something at the Providence Art Club, and I said, I know this place is opening. I know somebody that lives right in the neighborhood. So I said, let me take a chance. And I walked by right before the grand opening. They were doing some sort of secret soft opening. And I was able to get in there. I got a French onion croissant and like a spicy coffee. Delicious. So I go back a couple of weeks later, but I went back at 11:30 and they said, no, all the croissants completely sold out. So yeah, you gotta get there early, maybe after they first open on that first hour. And it's a beautiful space.
It is.
I mean, it's absolutely stunning.
So we can't talk about food and not talk about CHOP. You obviously recently did a story on CHOP. You did a video for social media. CHOP is right here at PPL. Tell us about your experience visiting CHOP for the first time? How did you enjoy it?
And I love that CHOP is here. Someone told me that used to be a storage area. I said, oh my goodness. I mean, I love it. There's a lot of great atmosphere. You have the nods to the library with the book decor, if you really look. And then it's just a fantastic space. I've been there. I've had lunch. I've had dinner. I mean, the servers and the food is really, it's Providence level food. People may not realize. This is like incredible. I've had sort of like it wasn't called a mac and cheese, I don't think, but it was a mac and cheese, unbelievable, comfort food, potatoes. I think I had a fish dish when I was there for dinner. Actually, don't tell anybody, but after we record this, I'm going back over there to get food. So that's all you need to know.
Your secret is safe with us.
Yeah, I said once I'm done with this, I'm going to go to CHOP and have an early lunch. I mean, so that tells you I'm going back again. That tells you everything you need to know.
It's also really convenient because if you're here borrowing a book or renting a movie or whatever, you have food right next door. Or if you're hungry, then you have a library right next door after you're done eating. So I think that they both benefit each other pretty well.
Right. Yeah, I love that. I think it's a great pairing. Keep an eye on their social. I know I've seen different, special events pop up, and I said, oh, that looks really fun. That's something that I would definitely want to go to. And I know there are people that you always want to go to, whatever the newest restaurant is. And if you haven't been to CHOP, I can't say enough great things about it.
So we're in the library, so I want to talk about a little bit of library love for just a moment. You've obviously been coming to Providence Public Library for quite a while. Do you have any favorite memories or favorite events that you've attended here? What are some of your favorite memories of PPL?
Oh, since I was a kid. I remember, again, I was, grew up in Providence. I remember coming downtown when I was a kid with my mom and getting a library card. My family's all about reading and books. That was always stressed in our house. I mean, and, my father was a Teamster. I grew up in a tenement house. I'm from a blue-collar family, and, we didn't have that extra income to be able to go to a bookstore and buy certain books. So if there was something that you wanted, also my father worked for this company that would distribute things, and he could get you a book, but it wouldn't have a cover on it. So if you wanted like the complete book with the cover and the jacket, and you wanted the full experience, you wanted to come to the library. That's what I like. I like you crack open that hardcover book and the spine, and you read the jacket and all the background of the author. I mean, I was raised around books, so getting that library card, coming and exploring the different sections. And then if you had to do a report for school, what were you going to do? We didn't own a set of encyclopedias.
Yeah.
I mean, my dad, again, worked 3 and 4 jobs. He was a Teamster. My mother was a stay-at-home mom. I'm one of 7 kids. We didn't have a set of current encyclopedias. Thank goodness you had the library. You could come here and say, oh, I got to do a report on such and such, and I need to, do some research. And it was, here, and it was, great. It was nice. It was warm. You could come in, go through the stacks. I miss a card catalog. You pull out that drawer. Remember pulling out the card catalog drawer? I'm that old. I'm card catalog drawer old.
We still have one here.
We do, yeah.
So go through the cards, and you'd say, okay, let me find this. And then you could go up to the librarian or library person and say, oh, this is what I'm looking for. Help me find it. Yeah. I don't know. Just my childhood, elementary school, middle school, high school is all, it's parallel with, the library and having the library here.
So if people want to find out more about you or your work, where can they find you? Where can they see more of what you're up to?
Well, you can always hope people will go to my website. It's PattyJ.com. That's PATTY, the letter J, and then .com. That's updated at least 5 days a week. There's usually articles, and it's primarily Rhode Island. So if you're looking for things to do in Rhode Island, hidden gems, new places that are opening around the state, it's a great resource. I'm on Instagram at PattyJ.com. So definitely check me out there. It's always looking for, what's happening in Rhode Island so I can share it with you. I'm out and about, 6-7 days a week, really. And I have a Facebook page also called PattyJ.com, and it's a lot of content from my site there. Sometimes I'll share, questions, observations, photos. So I hope to see everybody online.
A big thank you to PattyJ for joining the show today, and a special thank you to Beatrice for joining us earlier to talk about PPL's collections. And of course, thank you to Ivy, who came on and recommended her favorite cookbook, which you can check out here at PPL. You can follow us on social media at Providence Public Library on Instagram, Providence Public Library on Facebook, and make sure to subscribe to us on Spotify to keep up to date with all the latest episodes of the podcast. That's going to do it for this one, though. We'll see you next time on
This, That, and Another.